Good morning, fifth graders. So even though I'm not there with you today, you still get to do math with me today. So as we go through here, there will be times that I ask for the video to be paused, and just a quick pause so that everyone can get caught up, as well as feel free to pause the video at any time if we need a little extra time to finish writing notes. But make sure you open up your journals to a brand new fresh page and let us label our paper. Today is Module 1, Lesson 11, and it is 9/7/22. Make sure you have your papers labeled. Today we are multiplying decimals, but we are not doing it in the traditional sense. Today we are drawing pictures to help us get to a multiplication problem. So, for example, let's say our first problem, and make sure you're writing this with me whenever I write, you're writing 3 times 2/10. So we're going to draw a picture to show this, and what we're going to show is this as copies and not quite as multiplication. Even though it is multiplication, we're going to look at it in a different sense. So I make my place value chart here. I got my ones and I got my tenths, just in case I got to do some bundling. So what I'm looking here is I'm looking at what my decimal number is, and I'm looking at how many copies I'm going to make. In this case, I'm making 3 copies of 2/10. So here's 1 copy of 2/10, 2 copies of 3/10, that was 2 copies of 3/10, 3 copies of 2/10. So now I've made my 3 copies of 2/10. I see how much I have. I got to double check, make sure, do I have anything that I need to bundle here? And the answer is no, I don't need a bundle. But how many tenths do I have? I have 6 total. My decimal. How many ones do I have? I have 0. So 3 times 2/10 equals 6/10. Let's look at a different problem. Let's say I have 4 times 3/10. So in this case, I'm going to make my place value chart again. I notice I'm in the tenths place. So I don't need to go any farther than the tenths, but I might need my ones just in case I got to bundle. So I make my place value chart, my ones, and my tenths. So now I'm looking at making 4 copies of 3/10. So here is 1 copy of 3/10, 2 copies of 3/10, 3 copies of 3/10, and 4 copies of 3/10. Now you might have realized that, I have too many chips or dots in this place value. Remember, we can only have 9. 10 or more, I have to start bundling. So I'm going to count out 10 and see if we need to bundle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I circle my 10, and I bundle them over. I don't need a bundle again, so now I can count how many I have in my place value. So I have 1, 2 left over, decimal, and I have 1, 1. So I get 1 and 2/10. So 4 times 3/10 is 1 and 2/10. Pretty simple. Just think of these multiplication problems as copies and then drawing out the copies. So let's ramp it up just a little bit more. Remember, you can pause at any time if you need to. Let's say I have 2 times 43/100. All I did is add another place value. So I need to make me a bigger place value chart. I need my tenths, I need my hundredths, and probably a 1. My tenths, my hundredths, my ones. Take a second to draw that. And as you're drawing that, I'm going to look at our equation. So I look at it and I notice I'm making 2 copies. 2 copies of how much? 43/100. So I'm going to show 43/100 2 times to show the 2 copies. So I have how many tenths? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 3 hundredths. That's one copy. Now I need to make my second copy, and I'm going to do that right underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I've made my two copies, 1, 2, of 43 hundredths. Now I need to check if I need to do any bundling, and if not, then I can just count up and see how much I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do not need a bundle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do not need a bundle. Decimal, 0 ones. So 2 times 43 hundredths gives me 86 hundredths. All right, well, let's crank it up a little bit again. Let's say now I have 2 times 423 thousandths. 423 thousandths. First step, draw my place value chart. This time I see I have thousandths, hundredths, tenths, and a 1. So I'm going to make those place values. I'm going to start off by making my ones in my decimal. Then I have my tenths, my hundredths, and then lastly my thousandths. So again, while you're writing that down, I'm thinking here to myself, how many copies am I making? I'm making 2. How much is each copy going to have? 423 thousandths. And now, no, these numbers can be flip-flopped. They don't have to be in the same order. Just know, for today, our whole number will tell us how many copies we're going to make. So let's show this. So I'm doing 2 copies of 423,000. So I have 4 tenths, 2 hundredths, 3 thousandths. That's one copy. Let's make our second one. And you should have 2 copies of 423 thousandths. Count up and see what we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't need a bundle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't need to bundle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Don't need to bundle. 0. 846 thousandths would be our answer. Take a second to make sure you got that copy down. If you need to pause the video, pause the video. What if I added a number that was a little bit bigger? Let's take similar to like the one we just did, but this time let's do 4 times 423 thousandths. Okay, so again, we make our place value chart. Very similar to what we've been doing. I notice I go all the way to the thousandths, so I need that thousandths place. And I gave myself a 1s just in case I have bundlings. This time, we're making 4 copies of 423 thousandths. So take a second to write that down. So now let's make our 4 copies of 423,000. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. That's 1 copy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 2 copies. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 3 copies. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 4 copies of 423,000. So now let's see if we need to do any bundling and go from there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bundling you, moving you over. How many are left? 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't need to do any bundling. Good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oop, I got a bundle. Leaves me with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Decimal, and 1, 1. So 4 times 423 thousandths gives me 1 and 692 thousandths. So as you are looking at these today, remember today's goal is just to draw pictures. It's not to set this up. I don't want to see anyone trying to set it up or anything like that. I don't want to see any of that today because we have not talked about how to set up decimals. So when we look at these, I want to see pictures, only pictures, okay? And I want to see all this work. This is going to help us get to this point. No, yes, yes, no, okay? Here's what you're going to do. Here in a second, you're going to partner up according to what your guest teacher has you do with my lesson plans, because frankly, I don't remember what you're doing right now, but it's right there on the lesson plans. And for the problem set, so everyone go ahead and open up your binder to page 171. So this is problem set. Page 171. And I'm going to give you for your must-dos, you're going to do number 1. A through D. And remember, you're drawing pictures. If you finish that, then you can do number 1, E through F, and then you can attempt number 2A, okay, for the problem set. Go ahead and pause this video. Spend about 10 minutes working on the problem set. Maybe a little more, 15 minutes. Let's go 15 minutes working on your problem set. When you finish, come back to the video for the next round of directions. Okay, if you're back, that means you've spent about 15 minutes working on the problem set. You've worked on the must-dos, and some of you might have even gone to the can-dos. But now let's talk about exit ticket. Now, here's the good news. No homework tonight. Go ahead and cheer, I'll wait. But instead, I'm changing things up. So what we're going to do today is you're going to do the exit ticket, which is going to be on page 173. And you're going to complete one problem here. You're going to do number 1. When you have finished number 1 here on the exit ticket, you're going to pull that out of your binder and you're going to turn that in. When I come back tomorrow, I'm going to look at these and see if we're doing okay, if we need a little bit more work before we move on. So if you have any questions, hold on to them. Wait till I get back, but work on exit ticket, page 173, number 1. Have a great rest of the day, guys, and I'll see you when I come back on Thursday.